Okay, guys, once we're through this door, it's defeat the dragon and claim the sword of the Mythcreant podcast.
I've got my plot shield equipped.
Magic missile ready.
Why are we on a spaceship?
It's my shield, force field. It has +2 to plot convenience.
And we're conveniently on the USS Mythcreant podcast.
Convenient? We're headed towards an alien armada.
Readying the improbability drive.
The shields are down 50%. I'm not sure we can survive another moral analogy.
Oh, now what?
It's a graveyard. Is it just me, or is this world a bit inconsistent?
Spooky fog, full moon, empty mansion. It's genre consistent anyway.
Here lies the Mythcreant podcast. May its speculative fiction madness never again threaten the world of men?
I want to go back to the dragon.
World of men? That's kind of sexist, isn't it?
Yeah, there are other options for efficient gender-neutral pronoun use.
I have no idea what you just said.
We'll just have to dig up the podcast and find out.
Wait. There's a bit of fine print here.
On a gravestone?
A podcast analyzing aspects of fantasy, science fiction, and horror. Downloadable from mythcreants.com, iTunes, and Stitcher Radio.
Come on, guys, these Eldritch Grave Seals aren't going to break themselves.
Maybe you shouldn't do that.
Hey, this is Russ Payton with Role-Playing Public Radio. This is RPPR episode 101, the Better Angels campaign post-mortem. I say Better Angels campaign even though the actual campaign will be called No Soul Left Behind because it was originally called The Spared and Spoiled, and it's just, if it's Better Angels, everyone will know.
No Soul Left Behind.
Yeah, No Soul Left Behind.
Type that into Google now. Keep hitting refresh until a Kickstarter shows up.
Yeah.
And give it some money.
So
please.
we have the cast of the campaign here.
Buy the book.
Mr. A asked you to give him money.
Yes.
Mr. A.
He's so beautiful.
For the kids. All right. Before we get, so we're gonna be talking dissecting the campaign, what went right, what went wrong, and before we get into that, I want to give a little bit of news. One, speaking of Kickstarter, there will be a Base Raiders Kickstarter coming soon for Boiling Point. An adventure, an underwater base. This is not written by me. This is written by RPPR listener Peter Nielsen. This is his first release. I'm editing and doing layout and blah, blah, blah. So this will be a print-on-demand adventure. So I'll be hopefully getting that up by the end of July. Also in Raillery, we're Caleb, Tom, Aaron, and I have been doing some antics in Payday 2. So we're very professional thieves. I've only shot most of the civilians in most of our missions.
You were definitely the Mr. Blonde.
Caleb, you see, civilians are just assets you buy during the game.
I've lost count of how many times you're like, why didn't you just zip tie him, Ross? I'm out of zip ties. I'm looking at your screen. You have 6 zip ties.
I only have 2.
I forgot. You're pew-pew-pewing with silenced weapons.
Silent shotguns are an effective technique. An effective weapon. So I stand by that. Anyway, and in other news, the playtesting, not open playtesting, but the expanded playtesting for No Soul Left Behind is ongoing, and Caleb is for taking
I think it just wrapped up, actually.
Just wrapped up?
I have
All right.
all the playtest reports. Thank you for everyone who did that.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. There were many good comments, and I'm sorry for all of the typos. 4th draft is forthcoming, so hopefully that will get the rest of them until all those other ones.
All right. So to get this discussion going, why don't we talk first about the genesis of the project in terms of Caleb's and you being the author and despite authors all being dead, how did this come to be? Like, I imagine it was Better Angels came out and you're like, I have the campaign for that, but did you have the idea for doing something in the school and then Better Angels comes like, that's the system for my school campaign, or like, I don't know, how did it happen?
Well, they were, I think it was before the Kickstarter even launched, but they were looking for playtesters for the system, Arcdream was, and because we know the guys, we were lucky enough to be on there. And I think I read some promotional material about like the fundamental question of the game being, can you tear down the devil's house with the devil's tools, and lots of stuff about like can you use corrupted means for good ends and stuff like that. And I was, of course, reading this during a test I was administering to a class of students. I'm like, sounds like school. I'm like, no, that is exactly school. That would be great. If I was a demon, it could brainwash kids into doing things, or if I could light certain administrators on fire with my eyes. It would not take a very hard push for me to be like, yeah, I'll do that. And then, as I thought of that idea, my job, which I was already starting to see the underside of, then sat on me. So I got a very good close-up view of its underside. And it was...
Oh, metaphors.
That's a pointy undercarriage.
It was gross.
I can picture it.
And the entire time stuff was happening at work, I'm just like it's so baffling and Kafkaesque and bureaucratic without reason, and it loses sight of why everyone's here, that it would be totally easy for people with a demon to be like, well, now that I can do this, I'll do it better, and then just dig themselves even deeper. So that was the genesis of the campaign idea.
For the kids.
For the kids. By the way, that's Stand and Deliver. That's the movie we are making fun of every time we say that.
Yeah, but I actually looked on IMDb.
We're making fun of the South Park making fun of that movie.
Yeah, because it's not actually in Stand and Deliver. He never says that exact line.
I know.
It's Cartman imitating all.
But Almost's accent
That is
in that
postmodern
movie.
as shit. I hope you Philistines appreciate it.
Almost's accent in that movie is about not really an exaggeration of what we're doing.
No.
For the kid, it is we don't need no stinking sheriffs, bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so that's how the campaign idea got started. Why don't we talk about the players, and everyone can introduce themselves and the genesis of your character idea. I'll go last. So Bill.
Well, okay. Mr. A came about mostly because I had made the mistake of internalizing too much of what everybody else had written about their characters on the forums in the abortive first go-round. So I came to the table with something way too grimdark. And essentially I sort of backfilled it from game mechanics. I believe I picked the Impossible Beauty and the, whatever the other thing was. Passed it off to, I think Sarah was the one who filled in the rest of my sheet, got it back, and turned it into a speech teacher because, well, for one, somebody should actually be a teacher in the school, and for two, good at talking to things. I mean,
Yeah.
So good.
not
good.
Not very deep. And then I just kind of modeled him after every speech teacher I've had occasion to know. A little too full of themselves and, few degrees removed from reality.
All right. Good. Fair enough. David, yours.
Well, I actually had a lot more thought that went into Sarala than went into Bran. With Bran, I thought, if I go for the librarian, and metagamey thought here, he would be one of the few faculty members that would be able to do things during the day and nobody would notice, because, let's be honest, print is a medium that's kind of dying in favor of electronic everything. And
Sparkly Wizard Vampire Deathmatch.
Sparkly Wizard Vampire Deathmatch.
Did that make it into the book?
Oh, yeah. No, I have a whole title. I have a whole list of YA titles.
Is it in a sidebar? Tell me it's in a sidebar.
No.
And I thought that he would fit best as an older gentleman, because the thought that rolled through my mind is, let me show you how to find the card catalog.
I think
Somebody
we've all
passed me
known
my
that
TV.
librarian.
Yeah.
It's kind of an archetypal sort of thing.
But with Sarala, I thought I would challenge myself and come up with a demon that did not lie. And so that's the genesis of Sarala the Ever-Truthful. And my big thought was that with every sin that I would offer, my own challenge to myself was a damned if you do and damned if you don't. Like in the abortive initial playtest, the one that Aaron didn't go for, you see that lost little boy over there by himself? Help him out. show him that strangers are not necessarily bad people, or leave him to his own devices. One of the two. Either way, I still win.
No.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. Sarah?
Well, I think from being a teacher, I thought the only position I would never want to have would be administrator. And so that seemed like the natural way to go.
Okay.
Ledbetter.
Stretch your acting. All right. Very good. Anything on the demon? Frank from accounting?
Yes, Frank Cooper from accounting was inspired.
Well, actually, a lady I know, her dog was something similar.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember.
That's where it came.
He wasn't Frank Cooper, but he was someone from accounting, and that was the name of her dog, and I thought it was genius.
Yeah,
it would
she'd
be-
need the dog to come in. She'd be like, Steve from accounting.
Yes, and I thought it was perfect for a lonely demon who was hated by everyone in his family.
Frank Cooper definitely made it into the book.
Yeah.
Definitely.
How could he not? So for me, for Chan Smith, I wanted to basically, I mean, for lack of a better word, I wanted to make a schmuck. I wanted to make a deeply flawed person who is
Mission accomplished.
and a parent. I wanted to make, because everyone in role playing games, the tendency is to make someone with the trench coat and katana and who's badass and cool. And that's certainly one that's not thematically appropriate for Better Angels. It's kind of the opposite of the theme of the game, and it would be impossible to actually pull off. But two, I mean, I wanted to embrace. I wanted to.
The school janitor did come close to that.
Yeah. So I just imagine him like as a refugee from Myanmar, like he used to be an officer, but like he wouldn't have been like the guy committing atrocities. He would have been basically the secretary or assistant to the officer committing atrocities. And he's like, "Oh God, I'm in over my head. I have to escape." And then he's just
I must commit atrocities of my own in the land of opportunity.
We didn't know he was going to get possessed by a demon. I mean, that was the whole thing. He doesn't think ahead, and he means well, but he doesn't think about the consequences of his actions. And that was the whole point of the game, was that he would see if he would actually try and either get worse or holy shit, my actions have consequences. Maybe I should think about them before I commit them.
Nope.
Yeah, no, he does by the end.
He does by the end. He
Still
did
the
better.
supervillain Jerry Gargage.
And then Balgrin, of course, is Balgrin from the
Who's
New
been
World.
in every single game.
yes. That's. I mean, you got to go with what the listeners want. So.
Before the podcast started, I thought that your character concept was trying to disprove the stereotype that Asians are smart. I really thought that's where you began and ended your character concept.
Well, I mean, in terms of role, again, also with the powers, is I kind of went back to my thing, which is what the party needs. I thought a parent perspective would also be unusual, something like everyone else.
No, that was really good. We needed
because everyone else is the faculty member, or Jason was going to be a student. So I thought a parent who has time to volunteer around the school would be an interesting contrast to that. So that was another. And then for the powers, like alchemy, I like the versatility of that. Which
Really? Because
Yeah.
you only ever change things into about 4 things.
well, you get a repertoire after a while. I mean, no, I varied it a lot early on, and then you find the ones that work really well, like the chloroform, your thermite.
Uranium?
I think
That was once, all right? That was,
I think my favorite turn things into other things wasn't uranium. It's when you were trying to intimidate the gang into following you,
Yeah.
and you were impossibly beautiful. You shot a man in the head. Sarah was a giant honey badger shooting lasers out of her eyes, and you turned a lamppost into wood. That was your fear me moment.
yeah.
It's wood now.
He also turned the stereo into Ruby.
Oh, I forgot the Ruby
important.
stereo.
You can't forget that.
That they then tried to pawn.
Yeah. And then clairvoyance, I thought, again, that utility, that would have something about that. And so that was my origin of Chan's creation. So I know you made a little reference earlier on to the sort of flawed creation of the game, or of the running of the campaign. So for the listeners who aren't aware of the whole mishaps, you want to get into that a little bit, or
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
So it's going to take a little time to trace. So I pitched the game to Arc Dream.
Yeah.
And then they said, yes, go for it, do a playtest. And while I didn't have the whole book written, I wrote a complete outline of every scenario. And this was something like 8 or 9 months before we actually started playing the campaign. They were talking about contracts. We were going to do something since Gen Con. It was all in the bag, and I needed to get this play tested. But literally, for months on end, every day we would come to play, Tom would not show up, or Aaron would not show up. And then one time we did the good, the bad, and the hunky because we wanted to run a one-shot before we made characters. So we ran the good, bad, hunky. We got the idea. It went a little long, so we went into the second session. So I'm like, all right, we'll finish the last half hour of the good, the bad, and the hunky. Then we'll do character creation for the campaign. And since the first episode of the campaign, you don't have powers, we'll just start off with that. So we literally play for 15 minutes. We're like, well, okay, time to start character creation. So we all flip over our sheets. And Aaron's like, all right, well, see you guys. And literally just runs out the door. Just
brought out.
It was like, I was like, hey, where you go? He was just barreled out of the door.
It's almost like there was a prostitute in the room.
Yes. Yes! It was like there was a prostitute in the room banging on his stats with...
like Houdini, he was gone.
Yeah. So
The chains were all there, the locks were intact.
I was deeply confused, and then they started no-showing the games, and then at some point I'm eventually like, I quit. I think one day I was getting my tires changed or something, and they had a friend in, and they both canceled and turned the game back on 4 separate times that afternoon. They're like, no, we're going to hang out with a buddy. No, he's not staying here. We can run the game. No, we're going to hang out with a buddy. No. So I'm making game materials, not making game materials. And then I just quit. But then they're like, hey, you playtest that campaign yet? On email? And I'm like, well, fuck. So that's when I began begging Sarah to take an interest in role-playing, because I really needed people to playtest the campaign, and I only had a few people who were interested in doing so.
Yeah.
Thanks, honey.
Well, and the thing, and Tom and Aaron,
we were enthusiastic. I mean, there was Plan C.
I mean, I should say I'm endlessly glad that it did work out the way it did. I'm much glad we played with this group. Because you guys were great, and it was not something we'd done before in RPPR.
Yeah.
And Tom's character concept kind of unnerved me. Yeah. Because it was very Frank Miller-y, and it wasn't quite the tone. I think everyone really got the tone down from the very start, so I think it worked out, even if we had to retcon the first episode.
Well, I think the thing is, the reason about Tom and Aaron's, their scheduling is... Up until this, the Better Angels was the first campaign where attendance was really essential for everyone at all games. Yeah. Up until then, every other game,
and that's how the system's designed.
Yeah, and every other game we've done, there have been scheduling issues with some players. And Tom and no exception. I've been no exception. Everyone's had problems sooner or later. But if they don't show up, their characters don't do anything.
I was late to this moment.
Exactly.
Right here.
But in Better Angels, you're not only playing your character, you're playing a demon, and so one person's out, that throws the entire group off, and so that was the reason why it was such a problem when one player doesn't show up. You can't really run the game unless you're willing to house rule or people are willing to switch the role playing, which is hard.
If one person doesn't show up, I feel confident I could step in as Valgrind. Yeah, I mean, Your portrayal of Valgrind is truly nuanced and wonderful.
I established it.
Could you be Frank?
I don't think I could try Frank.
I don't think any of us could really be Frank, just because...
No.
You guys are too nice.
Yeah.
No, I can't be that
honest.
I can't be that matter of fact about things.
Yeah.
Sarah, every time you had a line, you just... Okay, trying to think the way...
Caleb's into English. He can't pull off that economy of language.
Okay. Sure, do that.
Nope. Not enough.
No, I wouldn't want him to go to hell.
Did you file the appropriate paperwork?
Yeah, that's about the most Frank said. I loved it.
And it worked.
But yeah,
that was the real problem. Like we've there's been scheduling issues in every campaign, from No Evil to the New World. It's just that this one, everyone had to show up, which is why it was a problem. So that was for Tom and Aaron. That they weren't like it wasn't a conscious campaign.
No, I don't think
it was just the game. Better Angels had higher requirements than what we were used to.
Yeah, and we had scheduling issues like getting it done just between work for everybody and stuff like that. But it was just a matter of getting it started. Once we got it started, we knew we wanted to finish it. So, yeah.
So with that Sisyphean sort of task in a way, in terms of like running the adventures and then like. How did that progress in terms of like writing the event? Like, how much of this did you have totally outlined? How much did you write during the campaign? And like, how much did you adjust it for our, particular quirks?
Well, when I came in here to run it, my outline was basically like the major antagonists and then the highlight of the Better Angels system I wanted to put in that game. So like, the basic idea of the campaign book is that it will teach you how to run Better Angels games and campaigns, like by featuring. So think of the children, the entire premise is to give you a reason to be a supervillain, beyond just the book says be a supervillain, like to provide reasons within the setting that make sense to dress up as the Mardi Gras of crime rather than just some cool looking Bryan Singer, black leather, badass mutant. Right. And then Arts and Science is about, do you have devilish devices? Look at all these different devilish devices. You want to build one yourself?
So it's a lot of it, especially the first act of the campaign, is really a tutorial
like here's what damnation looks like. Here's what exorcism looks like. Here's so that's the big selling point of the campaign. So I had the features I wanted in there. I had the features I wanted to add. So the layer building rules on how to build your old evil layer. Those are. Yeah, I didn't have those written up completely, but like the adventure where you raid Triskaideka's lair is all about like seeing how one of those works. Yeah. So I had the features I wanted in there, and then the antagonists, and then the clue for getting to the next session every time. But otherwise, it was like really freeform, and I was thinking like, as I started writing it, like maybe I made a mistake because I tried to cater every episode to your subplots and what you were doing individually so much, but I realized, well, that's really a Better Angels game. It has to be about, like, you perform an action and it comes to bite you in the ass in some way you don't expect.
Well, I make it hard for you with Chan. That was my thinking, too.
Yeah, you gave it to me. It was easy.
After all of the stuff with Tila, I kept expecting the irradiated wife and kids to show up and just say, "You killed my husband."
They wouldn't have been irradiated. He died before they ever showed up. Like,
he was really irradiated.
Yeah, like it was most of his arm. Like I did not do well in science. Yeah,
pallbearers were bodybuilders in hazmat suits.
Pretty.
Wow.
I kind of wish I'd done that scene.
You can still revise it.
Yeah, red count. Yeah, every character sheet.
Well, I mean, for you guys, so during the campaign, everybody had their subplots. Did you, when you going in, you probably had a sense of what your subplot. I mean, for me, my character subplot was very obvious. Dealing with my kid, making sure he did well when he was leaving high school, like got into a good college and whatnot. But what about you guys? I mean, did you have a pretty good idea of what your conflict was going to be about? I mean, the Mr. A's got like...
Yeah, it wasn't surprising at all. I wasn't necessarily banking on it being but yeah, I mean, at a fundamentally underprivileged school, the idea of the debate team being terrible, the desire of the debate coach to improve said terribleness, I mean, it's pretty much a given.
Yeah.
And, it was kind of fun to realize, I realized pretty early on that the day of reckoning would be coming. And yet, for some reason, maybe it's just the spirit of the game, I never once thought about pulling back from it. It's just like...
That's what the idea of
we were
children argue with inanimate objects.
We were birds of a feather in that respect. No hold back.
Yep. I think that goes for all four of us.
So David, what about you? I didn't have a clear, a subplot happened.
Well, honestly, I was thinking that a different subplot was going to be mine from the beginning. There were the D&D kids playing in the library, and I kind of thought, I'm going to have to try to nurture these kids and try to protect them from all of the rest of... Yeah, that didn't happen.
No, that's true.
Instead,
Nurture.
that.
I was just continually trying to make you take responsibility for
their callous murders.
for the
The only-
callous murder. But
Yeah.
Well,
if that was a great subplot, I wouldn't change it for the
and
world.
honestly, though, the other thing with that is, it's all right. You can do something really good for Tila, or we have to advance the story. It's okay. Tila, no. All right. I guess we'll have to advance the story. I'll get to her later. Eventually, we can fix this. It's not too bad.
I mean,
it's
I
just a
am
little broken.
I am the night.
It's just a little bit more broken. I can still fix it. Okay, that teacup has been dropped repeatedly. It's practically powder.
Yeah.
But enough super glue and there's no way I'm fixing
A
this.
strong siren comes by.
It's a very PC kind of thing.
Forklift full of nail guns. We have passed the point of no return.
You definitely need some therapy, like group counseling. But Sarah, but you and Honey Bear, like one, I had to commend you for only calling him Honey Bear the entire campaign. Did you have an idea of like how that relationship was going to work out?
No. Wasn't expecting it until I think when I was like,
Yeah.
Honey Bear, next week you're gonna have to deal with that. I was like, what? What are you talking about? And then it became Honey Bear.
All right.
I will say that I was continually stunned by your choices. You're like, if you fail one lie roll, you're just like, all right, I'm going to tell him everything.
And it worked.
Look, I can transform into a Clydesdale that shoots laser out of his eyes, and I'm responsible for irradiating your brewery and many other super crimes. And I'm just like, roll for that then? All right. 5 tens. Yeah, he believes you. I was continually surprised at your actions with Honey Bear. Help me cheat on the bar. No, that would be wrong. I have to go help all these kids cheat on the instead.
Yeah.
What you changed your mind about?
I know, but like I was.
He was like, really? You realize what you just did? Oh, I did do that. That's kind of cool.
See,
Well,
I have some leftovers here from helping out the kids. Maybe.
No, I loved it. It was great.
So yeah, what kind of other things surprised you guys about the campaign? Like, I mean, we already had some with the relationships and stuff. I mean, for me personally, obviously, like, Chan's decision, like, there are several times with, like, I didn't know how far Caleb was going to run with this. Like, I knew they were making bad decisions. Like, I know I was saying the irradiation was a bad idea, but I still went for it. But that was, like, a defining moment of the campaign.
You killed all the beer.
I know. I just... but... I was actually surprised Ronald died. The zombie survived. I really was rooting for him. I really wish we could have had a chance to save him.
Yeah, you did, but you didn't want to cause the fight when you were undermanned and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
It was a tactical decision, and it was
Well,
one of those...
I mean, during the
It was
fight,
the
I didn't
Sophie's
think he was
choice
going
of
to get
tactical
killed during the
decisions.
fight.
Yeah.
Because and he was so quick. Like, he was like from wounded, just like dead in like 1 or 2 hits. He was taken out really quickly.
Well, in the game, like. I did receive some playtest reports, like, for people who did, like, episode 1, 2, and then they went to Brands of Justice, or they did 1, 2, and then they went to 7.
Yeah.
And they're just like, man, the tone of this changes drastically.
No kidding.
And I'm just like, well, yeah, but that's in the game. Like, the damnation mechanics are dark. Like, to Order of Public Hell, there's literally, like, an intestine glyph that has to be drawn on the ground with 5 dead people. Like, and so, like, the game stays pretty lighthearted and spoofy, but then it gets very dark very fast when you...
Shit just got real.
Yeah, when you go down the demonic pathway. But I'm not against that because, education is pretty much the exact same way. Like, it's all pretty lighthearted. And then somebody dies or something horrific.
After a certain point, we're like, we're already damned anyways. Might as well help the kids.
Yeah.
In for a penny, in for a pound.
So yeah, I know the tone kind of waffles like that, but I mean, it's part of the thing. I mean.
Yeah.
Well, and I do have to say, too, that I want to commend you for a couple of really nice bits of foreshadowing that we just completely missed. We saw a little bit about what Grammar Nazi was all about and the fact that she was mind controlling the kids way before she actually really showed up full in force. That was with Sarah's side quest with Sarala, where I asked her to find out why the kid had the bruises. And then the kid comes in and he is manically studying for something in Grammar Nazi's class.
Yeah.
And your son.
Well, as soon as I
Jan's
found out my
son,
son's
yeah.
eyes were bleeding from studying too much, I
No,
shut her
but-
garage door on.
Oh, it was even before that.
No, the session before that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. He's
Well, he
like,
wasn't. He was
really
studying
into English.
He was really studying English, and I knew something
Which
was
is
up.
her
But
class.
like, you know, yeah. At that point, it was like again, Chan makes bad decisions, so he wasn't
Right.
going to nip that immediately in the bud. But once he saw, oh no, my kid. Oh,
Well, every
thermite.
scenario in the book is designed with like 1 or 2 pages of subplot suggestions, and some of them connect up together. So like the Tila subplots in there, but it's basically like drama kids are causing, horrible things the administrators are up to, problems teachers are having, various things like that that you can choose to help on or fan the flames. You know, moral conundrums that will go through the entire book. And then there's foreshadowing flashes, which are just like little paragraphs the GM can insert as flavor text to be summarily ignored, but they always, you know, preview something that's going to happen later. And then Lucius is always prophetic. Lucius is always giving you advice on how to play the scenario you're currently doing, but people always ignore him because he's a paint huffing hobo. So Lucius, if you go to see Lucius, he always has like some sort of prophetic advice about what's going
He's
on.
like Tiresias.
Yeah, pretty much. But everyone ignores him because he's a paint huffing psycho who lives outside the school.
Stops huffing
and then like the last 50... It's like 50-50, and then the last 50% of the scenario is the actual plot. So every scenario in the book's basically designed to be like, all right, here's the fallout of all the choices you could have made. If you did this, if you did this, if you did this, the suggestions. Here's stuff that's going on, whether you did that or not, and then here's foreshadowing for what's coming next. Then there's the actual plot.
Sarah, were there any surprises for you in the campaign aside from honey bears? Sure.
Yeah, not really. It's my first game. So
Okay.
I didn't know what to expect.
So everything was a
Everything
surprise.
was new.
All right, that's
Oh,
good. Bill, any surprises for you?
You know, kids arguing with inanimate objects. That
How
genuinely surprised me.
Yeah,
Resolved! Truck, you should stop.
Resolve the truck. You do not exist.
Yeah.
the long term side effects of the powers were really surprising because that's not really spelled out in the book. Like,
No, yeah, it's not spelled at all.
Yeah.
It's just some GM fiat on my part.
But it was beautiful.
It really was. And if I can climb onto a tiny soapbox here,
Yeah.
I have to praise the ridiculously effective, ridiculous weapon that was the Grackle Cannon. I had no idea it was going to work that well when I first came up with the mental idea of it.
Yeah, attacks a tactic automatically is like really powerful to have a devilish device. That's one thing about running the campaign. I learned the nooks and crannies of the rules a lot better.
Yeah.
And it didn't attack it automatically. It just had a really huge weapon bonus and went after a tactic that was, well, a strategy that was very rarely used.
Yeah.
I mean, went after generosity and on
But
almost
yeah,
tactic.
that's a tactic. But then that bleeds into patient.
Yeah.
And if you lose patient, you go. It was basically a berserk guy. Like,
Yeah, almost every time. I mean,
Given that
well,
most of the
actually,
people you're going to interact with in this game aren't really carrying around a lot of generosity.
yeah.
not really. I
Yeah,
mean,
it was really effective.
Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, how the dynamics work.
I think I was most surprised that Sarah was the tank of the group. Like in her first campaign, Sarah's like eye lasering the shit out of everybody, and Chad's just like, "You're pretzels now! Stop hitting me!" and,
Resolved.
yeah, and she's just like killing
Very
zombies
direct,
and
yeah.
stuff like that, and you're always like pushing Shifty out there to go fight the big bad.
And lasers were very effective.
They were.
they were.
If it isn't broke, I
There's a giant honey badger.
So yeah, for action scenes, what any particular? I mean, obviously, you know, we already mentioned the brewery. I mean, I don't think we need to beat that Clydesdale now.
Well, holy shit, the brewery. I mean,
Yeah.
can we really top that? I mean, that was amazing.
Well, I mean, I think every action scene had something to
Pretty
go
much.
for it. I do think, I mean, in terms of intensity, the Brains of Justice, because I felt the most desperate fighting the campaign. Because again, I wanted Ronald to live, and like, I felt like, yeah, those guys weren't going to show us any mercy at all.
No, they are the unrepentant assholes of the
Yeah.
setting. So
Even, I mean, yeah, it was even more than the angel scene. Angel
I will
fighting.
admit to metagaming the ever living hell out of that. I had totally read up on angel rules, and I figured it was a nice gambit to just see what happened if you would follow through with it, Caleb.
That's part. I mean, unless you have 5 angels and you've all been sinning your asses off.
Yeah.
3 angels are going to beat you. They have master dice in everything. And so that's the point of that session is that you have to face this unbeatable foe, but your demons can kind of help you metagame on that and tell you the rules. The way to beat them is to play with the rule. Evil's flexible. Morality is rigid.
Or turn their teeth into tar and
that works.
and fill them with a crap load of pointy little bitty bird bits.
Yeah.
But in the campaign, I got a playtest note. It's this is called the Mini of Strength. 90% of the game is about preparing for a test, and then you just get attacked by angels. That's the intention. I would ever be yay, we made the standardized test. What?
It's just like teaching high school.
Yeah, pretty much. Just every day you get attacked by bodybuilders with angelic powers.
Were there any other things that you wanted to include in the campaign that you couldn't because of time or anything? And then you
collateral damage rolls. More of them.
Collateral damage.
I don't know.
We seem to
maybe we should do an epilogue session.
Yeah.
I just kind of wanted to get it finished and make sure that give it an ending before more scheduling made it more difficult to finish the ending. I thought I was satisfied with the ending, but maybe people deserve that. But I don't know. I was pretty happy with everything that was.
I kind of wanted a field trip or two.
Oh yeah, I guess we could have done a field trip. Those are in the subplots.
Yeah.
3 of us went to D.C.
I didn't go.
Yeah.
No, I thought I was the one who went. Okay.
Yeah, you were helping out with a lot of things, and at one point in time, you swapped out the.
You changed
the notes.
Yeah.
Okay.
You changed a pen in somebody's notes into whiteout.
Oh wait, yeah.
And it leaked.
Yeah.
Oh, I should have. I should have developed the mayor character more in the playtest. I mean, he's more in the book. He's a recurrent villain in the book, but I should have developed the mayor character a little bit more.
Yeah, and the governor subplot. I mean, that did kind of.
The governor subplot would have
blindsided us.
Yeah.
But I do like the idea that the whole conspiracy that launched you has nothing to do with you, and you catch it really late.
Given the way you characterize the governor, it kind of makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Both for the Archfiend's motivation, couldn't really be doing anything too obvious, and the governor with an angel that refuses to use it. Of course, you're not going to hear about that.
Yeah,
I think my favorite campaign is I think my favorite battle in the campaign is the last one because I like being able to call back all the GMCs.
Yeah,
you didn't murder.
I mean, I do the same thing for Road Trip. I mean, the last ride you can be helped or hurt by every group that you've met along the way. You can call in if you help them out, they'll help you. If you screw them over, they'll come back and get you. And that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and basically the way I describe it is don't make it too easy because you call in a GMC horde.
Yeah.
Just stat up the opposition to have more minions, but it will be truly epic if Painbow is dousing a hell giant with a chocolate fountain, and Grammar Nazi is stabbing something with a question mark, and then you are still trying to
point.
Or whatever.
I don't know. I think commas are for stabbing.
Commas are for stabbing.
Oxford commas.
But I think it's really cool how you can call back all the people previously in the campaign
that you don't murder.
That you don't murder.
Or get accidentally killed by others.
Or
Or light their cats on fire.
We didn't murder them. They got killed by the brains. Anyway, poor Ronald. Anyway, what about you guys? Any things you would have wanted to see in the campaign or missed out on? Subplot-wise or main,
I honestly, the people I was channeling, it was really great for Mr. A. He got to have friends for a little while. It was a first.
All right, fair enough. David?
Difficult question.
Yeah.
Basically, to put it in a different way, I've just handed you this lovely cake that has a delicious icing on it. Can you think of anything else that we should have put into this cake to make it even better without taking away from the original cake or the icing? You really can't.
You can't really put blackjack and hookers in a cake.
Yeah.
Well, I think you can put them.
Oh, good point. Well,
Brave enough to drop.
but then it
A
really
hooker
sees-
with a deck of cards pops out of the cake.
But those aren't really cakes.
Well, all right, fine. If we want to
And
get into semantics.
With our group, we would probably try to bake it with that poor young lady inside.
Yeah, your character's probably.
By mistake, not intentionally.
It'd be an
To
accidental
help
death.
someone.
Here, just take this lead sheet and wrap it around.
Somebody else.
Like a hooker with blackjack cake for the kids.
Yeah.
Here,
Yeah, the
just
kids
wrap this
love
lead
blackjack.
sheet around you. It'll protect you from the oven. Chan, that was asbestos.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sarah, was there anything you were kind of surprised? Okay. Yeah.
More
so-
Sarah would have been good.
I'm very quiet. I'm sorry.
No, it was great. I mean, because the scenes that you were in, you really it would made them more made them more dramatic because like that. I mean, like again, that one scene where you solo the news crew team, you just like stealth in there as the little bird. And just eye laser thing. It was great.
Robert.
You were the most effective character in our group, like Caleb said. Like you had your shit together. We were just train wrecks.
You were also the one
You were
that,
the
that
anchor.
changed the Phoenix 4 into the Frame 4 because you were seen fighting all the zombies.
I did do that.
And everybody
Yeah.
else was like cowering in the building or
I
trying
was
to investigate.
I was
stuff.
investigating off
And you were all like out in front of news cameras fighting zombies. So.
Yeah, I was investigating terribly. But
I think what solidified in my mind the idea that the campaign has to be about player logic creating the conflict for the next session was you guys trying to flip the house. And when you went for 5 or 6 sessions and kidnapped a realtor before realizing we don't own this house legally. There's no way we could sell this house. We literally just stole it from crackheads.
Session is 9/10 of the law.
And he's just like, okay, where's the deed? And you all just like having kidnapped him,
Yeah.
tied him to a chair, just blankly staring at each other like, oh, I guess you need one of those to... So after you'd renovated the whole home,
yeah, we had to keep the honey badgers busy. Like, idle hands are the devil's playthings, or something like
The
that.
devil's place.
Playthings. Sorry. Or something like that. Whatever.
and I think my favorite thing to do as a GM in Better Angel is play NPCs having to react to the stupid powers. Like being impossible beauty to inspired to suddenly be good at architecture. And like, oh, that's how that works.
Actually, I don't think that was the impossible deal.
Oh, yeah.
No, that was Cloven
Yeah,
Hoods.
Cloven
They
Hood.
sold
Oh, yeah,
it.
yeah. To
We
be...
talked them into selling their soul to be good at carpentry.
Yeah, that are I had to do a body control for the last con. They
Yeah.
body controlled Kanye West to do something while he had a microphone in his hand, and it doesn't stop their mouths. So he was like screaming at a disconnect between his brain and what his body was doing.
I'm a musical genius that's being forced to do things against his will.
Pretty much, I just went on a huge tirade of narrating his actions. Yeah,
I'm gonna let you finish.
I think
Yeah.
I think that has to be a reward for the Kickstarter.
no, I don't think.
What? We're gonna body control Kanye West?
Yeah. Well, I
That's
mean,
not even
Caleb's
possible.
brand. I mean,
Yeah.
did record that if you're.
Yeah, we did record that.
So that keep that in mind. So Sarah, since this was your first experience
Oh, no.
playing role playing games, what is your impression now of how this time and the campaign in general?
Well, it was very entertaining.
Yeah,
I was always terrified, but I had a good time.
I was terrified, but I had a good time.
Yeah.
Well, actually, one of the things one of the things that a lot of people in the RPG industry are talking about, like how we get new people in, and like especially like D&D is brought up. Everyone starts with D&D, or a lot of people do, but it's like it's a really complex game. So like, this is how complex do you feel like Better Angels was, and like the one roll engine in terms of
That was a big selling point. Caleb kept being like, it's really easy.
Yeah.
It's not going to be difficult. It's only one roll. And it's just, you make your matches.
It's in the
So,
name.
Yeah. So that was really helpful. Because
Okay.
that's intimidating.
So the
All the
strategy
stats.
and tactics part wasn't like, because I mean for like us who were more used to like strength, dex, con, like these are very abstract attributes, and it's kind of a hard. But I mean,
It was, yeah. I mean, it wasn't too bad.
If I can interject just a little bit on that.
sure.
When statting up the Sorala side of the sheet too, I tried to take a look at everything that Sarah was going to be doing, and I tried to put in as many points in the good side as I could. without,
What?
These are useful stats. These are things that you're probably going to be using a little bit more. You don't have anything here, so I'm not going to put anything in this to make... I could have put points in to just drag her to hell right off the bat.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just see if I can bolster her up a little bit.
I think that also led to that system also promotes, in terms of Better Angels as a whole. I mean, Caleb pointed it out, but I mean, we were all guilty of it. Like, the whole system of attributes in Better Angels kind of promotes player logic, because the attributes that get you into hell are also the ones that fuel your superpowers.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, I want more of that attribute so I can turn things into more things, even better. Or I can eye laser even better. I don't care if it brings me to that precipice over eternal damnation. I want my eye lasers.
And that's the thing I recognize reading it, is that while you do need to be in conflict with your human a little bit, like I've seen like Better Angels game go really bad when demons just start off antagonistic, just like, you shall flay the flesh of the innocent, like, and of course, all right, everyone be quiet, no, shut up, they don't use the demons, and it's a day about... It becomes a game about, like, schizophrenia, like, hearing voices in your head. Nobody has any powers.
And let's face it, everyone is John.
Does that way better, yeah. But, yeah, so I think demons kind of have to metagame and be jerks, but not, like, antagonistic. They need to not be on the character's side, but at the same time not actively driving them to hell until they get to that point. Like, that's why I kind of made all the demons in the campaign related. Like, they're very keen. They're as keen to sabotage each other as they are to promote themselves. Like, so
The demon, for anybody else, I would have gone with the same tactic.
Yeah.
Because, well, let's be honest here. If I was Bill's demon and I gave him a crap ton of power and went, you know what? I'm just going to stay back here, you do your thing, he would have gotten himself into hell a hell of a lot quicker than I could have.
yeah,
story.
And
Same thing with Ross.
And I mentioned that in the campaign, like, look, 10 plus sessions is a long time to go with unrepentant player logic. Like, you need to give your players time to realize, oh, wait, I'm one smack away from going into hell. Like,
So close.
Maybe-
I was so excited.
maybe I should, like, try some repentance for a while here. Like, and once they get the idea that they have to keep it in balance, then it's good. It's just more subplots to do because you need to get out of hell. But at the start, everyone's just like, no, I'll kill that baby. I'll get another point of cunning. Yeah, I'll kill that baby. Like, and you just, they can't do that forever, or it's a very short game.
So do you think, whenever this comes out, do you think there's ever going to be any more Better Angels coming from you? Or
Oh yeah, I could do something else. I could see other games. I think it's a game that really rewards having a setting and a like persistent community of NPCs. Like,
yeah.
I think one thing I would have done differently is not set it in St. Louis if I had the playtest to do again, because I mean, we're all familiar with St. Louis, but
Yeah.
I obviously couldn't write that into the book because, like, if people don't like wafer thin pizzas and Bud Light, they're not going to buy the book.
See, I did the city.
And if they don't like wafer thin pizzas, they can go straight to hell.
Yes, but
Emos!
but in the book, it's just like I just made the city Kirby, and I'm like, what do you want, Kirby? National Monument? Sure. Talk to eggplants? Of course, that's there. Like. And I think that's better for new players too. Just like
the ever crispy.
whatever you. That's a good demon. Somebody in the playtest had a demon called "He Who Seizes the Means of Production." I thought that was the best demon name.
Nice.
But
The Red Menace.
yeah, pretty much. But yeah, I like the idea of like, okay, the city is and the school, because it's a charter school, is whatever you want it to be. Fencing team, yeah, we have that. Of course, every high school has it. You know, and I think that's better for new players too, because you're not really negating anything they want to do, and the setting kind of supports Gonzo insanity. So.
All right, well, players. In terms of, well, why don't we just open up to sort of favorite experiences? Or talking like what do you, like? We're talking a little about like my favorite moment with Sarah being, you know, the stealth commando, solid bird. But what other favorite moments did you have in the campaign or NPCs? I mean, let's just open up to sort of like, because I know you had 12 episodes and we recorded it a while ago, but yeah.
Stop huffing pain!
Yeah.
Seriously, you need to stop huffing pain.
Yeah, I remember.
All right, I'm done.
Lucius was interesting. Like, I remember me trying to make him into my spy or informant, and that not working. Or trying to. I remember I turned his pants into candy, and that didn't do anything. He just didn't even care.
Oh man, Brandon, the insurance agent. That was pretty great.
Oh yeah, because you ruined that guy's life so badly. If Tila needs a sidekick, he should get that guy.
And hey, I still maintain, if somebody douses your house with gasoline, it's arson. Doesn't matter if they are wearing spandex and a domino mask. Arson is arson. I'm sorry, your policy doesn't cover
Brand was
supervillain.
pure evil.
He was. Your character's totally going to hell, David. There's no way you're not going into
When
hell.
I think of the face of evil, I think of Brand Rourke. Because it's not like Smiley Whiplash evil. It's full-blown entitlement for everything. No, I own this. I had good reasons for doing that. I'm just pure... he's just pure void. I love him.
Well,
So
let's just think a minute here for the hierarchy of sins. Things that I didn't do. I did not end up with a cult of personality.
yeah.
I did not irradiate an entire brewery and kill all the beer.
And I love it.
You killed people. You killed
Comparative relativistic morality, I'm moral compared to everyone around me.
Yeah.
So then Brand is the best character.
At no point are we asking, are we saying that we are all lily white and you, sir, have committed sin? We just all own ours.
Yeah, no. Chan was a terrible person, and he felt really bad
And
about
Brad
it
is a
after
bad
a while.
person too, but
There
I
it
think that
is.
he's getting dumped on a little bit.
Yeah.
You're awful. You're horrible. You guys are pretty bad too.
I think it's
Sorry.
no. People mentioned it in the comments, your continued refusal to take any responsibility, even in the face of Tila, and somebody put it on quoted on Twitter the line, "Well, I'm just gonna try and break her arm and not kill her," and me responding, "How noble of you." And I'm just that's my favorite character choice in the campaign. Is just his continued refusal to be no. I think that's a brilliant character choice. He Walter White's by the end of the campaign. That's a great character.
Yeah, that's a Walter White character. Sirius, Miss Ledbetter, you eventually owed up to Honey Bear, and you helped them see his.
And you did admit to, it's all right, I turned into creatures and I eye laser things.
Yeah.
The whole time through, it was the Harry Tasker. Have you ever killed anyone? Yeah, but they were all bad. They all deserved whatever they got.
So you had it in check, and then Chan, he admitted it to his son, and he said no, the power controls you, and you don't control it, and after it, he just wants to repent and feel hangs up the or the luchador mask. Sorry,
hang out toxic acid, minimum security prison.
Yeah, exactly.
Mr. A ran away from his problems.
Yeah, so he's kind of
I'm working this into a 10-year deal and never seeing you kids again.
So we were all not great people, but it was all for the kids. We risked or sacrificed our souls for the kids. Weird.
And I love just the laundry list of horrific things you did.
Blowing up smart cars.
Yeah. You destroyed the green energy initiative.
Yep. Just to get a fence.
Yeah, just to get
Not to get money. Just to get a fence.
Oh, I'm sad that I didn't make the fence Mac Jaffrey. I did that in the book, but in the playtest it was Rabowitz. The crazy...
it was the old lady.
Yeah, no, in the book it's just a McCaffrey stand-in, a crazy mogul psycho. Yeah,
John McAfee.
Yeah, John McAfee or Mac Jaffrey, as I call him.
Okay, so a crazy
It's totally unrecognizable.
Yeah. That was the NPC from our Tribes of Tokyo game who got us all guns.
Yeah, he needed to be published.
Yeah,
so.
Who is basically a billionaire on the run from the law in South America for killing a guy, for shooting. Yeah, he's just a very crazy person.
Things just keep moving. His people got scopes.
Yeah, he's your fence in the book now. So.
But yeah. So, any other insights or considerations into the campaign? I think this was one of the most smoothly. Once it got going, set up, it was a very satisfying game for me.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a very intense. I mean, it wasn't like as intense in terms of like No Evil. It was very much like we're damned no matter what. But like in this one, we're like,
Well, we're damned no matter
a
what.
glimmer of hope, except for Brain. But like,
Well, I mean, the world is more collaboratively built than No Evil. Like No Evil, a literal conspiracy was facing you.
Yeah.
But in this one, the conspiracy already happened.
Yeah.
And you're just riding the wave. And I really liked how you guys had so much investment in the setting and how the book ended up and that kind of stuff. And this sort of helped me like become less of an anal GM prepper. Like this was the stepping stone to Dungeon World where I did nothing. And
Except
it's just like, all right, yeah, here wizards and shit go. But that still works if you want to play a certain type of game. That is a totally valid GM aesthetic.
Yeah. All right. Anything else? All right.
Will you play another campaign ever?
Yes.
All right. I forget something.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
No Soul Left Behind didn't turn someone off of roll.
It's greatest goal. It's greatest accomplishment. Yeah.
So what you're saying
It
is
failed to make someone quit.
so what you're
That's
saying
the
is it's
tagline.
not for the keys as much as it's for the table.
Yeah.
For the table.
All right. Before we end, I would like to. What is your single favorite moment of the campaign? Single favorite anecdote, episode, or just the one you think that encapsulates? Obvious. I mean, I'll go first just to get it out of the way. The irradiated brewery, like that's obvious. But like aside from that, who wants to? Because there's so many.
Where would this campaign be without Bill's flat whats?
Yeah.
And everything we did. What?
What? Yeah, we can't do it right. Like, what?
Oh,
Hold on, I need to compose
yeah.
myself.
well, I came to the table thinking that it was going to turn into ham-to-ham combat, because Bill and I can both do the... Did someone call for a large ham? I'm here to chew the scenery. No, I'm here to chew the scenery. No, I'm here to... And then Sarah just... I'm Frank Cooper from my time. It doesn't matter what we do, just that tiny little voice just popping in with gold. It's, oh my God.
Yeah.
It was a good dynamic.
Yeah.
What?
There it is.
Yeah,
there it is.
All right.
You heard it here first.
Sarah, anything?
No, I mean, it was a good time.
All right.
That's all I can say. I don't know.
I like baseball very much.
Yeah, been very,
Baseball
very,
been very, very good to me.
What's that from?
Chicago Cubs player. What was his name?
Oh yeah.
Sosa? Is it Sammy Sosa?
Yeah, I think it was.
Okay. Caleb.
We've mentioned so many good ones. I'll mention one that hasn't been mentioned because only a few people were here. I think one of my favorite was when I just gave Tom's character a bonus for staring in the mirror and thinking about his life in the very first episode.
Yeah. That was pretty
His
good.
existential angst. Not my favorite, but we've already talked about so many of my favorites.
All right.
But definitely worth mentioning because it was funny.
All right, very good. All right, so this has been RPPR episode of 101, Better Angels Post-Mortem. We'll have news about the Kickstarter as soon as it launches. And
Please.
bye.
Seriously.